So can we technically take a buy on Aussie now as it's bottom on the channel? Yeah, so again, you need to be clear in your setup, right? Okay, so since you asked this question, let me go a little bit in depth into the reason of having a setup. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, so this is very important for all traders, especially traders who are asking questions in terms of like, if you're asking yourself questions like, should you be buying this? Should you be selling this? Can I take this trade? Can I take that trade? Right? So when you have questions like that, it means that you haven't established your setup. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, right, every trader have their own slightly different setup because of their preferences, right? But let me highlight the importance of setup. Okay. Now, what is a setup, right? A setup is essentially a set of rules and criteria that you. Okay, let me string this right. A set of rules and criteria that you need to see or fulfill by the market, okay, by the market before you execute a trade. Okay, now why is this set of rules and criteria important? Okay, because at the end of the day, right, as a trader, what differentiates trading versus gambling, okay, is actually a very fine line, right? Gambling is categorized as if today you go into a casino, you don't have a plan on how you're going to protect your capital, you don't have a plan on how you're going to win, you don't have a proper strategy, you're gambling, right? So it's the same thing, right? If today you come into the market, you don't have a strategy, you don't have a proper trading plan, you're gambling, right? It's just online, digital, right? So the setup itself helps you to be disciplined. Okay? It helps you to be consistent. Okay, and the word consistent is very important because today, if you're gonna be winning trades, okay, you need to know why you're winning. You need to know what are the factors that contribute to your winning trade. Okay, or else it's just luck, right? So if today you just decide, open your chart and then suddenly you feel like buying and then you just buy and then it becomes a winning trade, but you have no idea what contribute to that winning trade. You can't duplicate it for your next trade, right? You have no idea why that trade went. You can't repeat that process. You can't stay consistent. Okay, so in order for you to be consistent, in order for you to know what are some of the factors to contribute to your winning trade, so that you can repeat it in the future over and over and over again, so that you have what we call an edge over the market, you need to have a clear setup. Okay, so you need to have some kind of a checklist, right? To say, all right, this is check, this is check, this is check, and therefore I take the trade. And every time I follow this setup, every time I follow this sets of rules and I execute a trade, I win more than I lose. That's where you know you have an edge, and that's where you know you just need to be consistent, you just need to be disciplined and keep repeating that process, keep repeating that setup, you end up winning. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a better understanding as to what I mean by setup and why you need to have it. Okay, so it's very, very important, right? You need to make sure you are clear on those conditions, right? So coming back to the question, okay, you have a channel over here, can you buy it now? Now, if today you have a setup that says every time we are expecting a channel, you're gonna buy it, and then you repeat it over a certain period of trades, and you realize that most of the time you're gonna win, then that can become your setup. But let me give you another perspective. There is a channel here because I drew a channel in. Okay, if I were to take away this drawing here, there is no channel. Okay, so to me, do I have a setup based on channel? No. Channeling technique to me is a visual reference. That's all. It's a visual guide. I don't trade the channel, right? Because to me, if I take that away, then how do I again go back to my setup? How can I be consistently executing that based on the channel, right? So you need to have certain sets of, as I mentioned, rules and conditions and criteria to establish your setup. Okay, so in this case here, again, to give you the perspective, channel is a visual reference. To have a channel and then trade it in this manner to the upside is very, very subjective. Okay, it's a slightly different thing if, let's say, today you flip it and say, all right, if this goes up, can I sell here? Maybe, right? Why? Because then that can be a more concrete channel, right? Because you have this point here, you have this point here, then you're just projecting this line up. But right now, this channel is really for visual reference. Why? Because if the market come down a little bit lower or just adjust this, then the whole channel change, right? If the market continue to come down and just tag this line, there's no channel anymore. Okay, but if the market starts to bounce from here and it starts to go higher, this low has been established, we have this high, we have this high, we have this low, okay, then we can draw in the channel like this. Okay, then if your plan is to say, I'm gonna trade the third wave at the top of the channel to the downside, yeah, that is actually a more concrete trading plan. I hope that makes sense. I hope that gives you the understanding of it as well.